back with the Green Hour today. Today we have Paws with us today. Good morning. Thank you so much. I will just introduce you guys before we get into this conversation. Paws is a global animal welfare organization for animals under direct human influence, which reveals suffering, and they rescue animals in need and protect them. And they also work with animals in conflict zones. And their vision is a world where humans treat animals with respect, empathy, and understanding. Thank you so much for being with us today. We have Dr. Amir Khalil, we have Agnieszka Squara, and we have Pia Einhimmler with us here today. Thank you so much. How are you guys doing today?
Wow, we are doing well. First, thank you for the great opportunity. We are very happy to be here in Pakistan. And I think my colleague can speak about themselves, how they feel.
Okay. Thanks, Amir. We're doing very well. We are super happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you so much for coming with us today. I will also just talk a little bit more about like why it's important to have like animal welfare organizations, especially in a place like Pakistan. Pakistan obviously has a lot of species and biodiversity, and that's why it's very important to talk about case studies preserving it. I'm actually a really big like animal advocate, and I love working with animals as well. And before I got into climate action, I really wanted to be a vet, but I am very squeamish, so I did not go into it and studying biology, but I am very much big on animal rights. So can you tell us a little bit more maybe about your work in Pakistan?
In fact, Pakistan, I have the luck with Paws team to start working. It was 2010 during the floods. It was a huge flood, and we were able to assist farm animal. A lot of human was displaced during this huge flood. It was a huge disaster, but at this time we were able to support over 20,000 families. I mean, through helping the farm animal which don't have food at this time in Leh region. In the last few years, we were happy with the team of Paws and a lot of colleagues from Pakistan to, through the activist work also, the zoo of Islamabad was closed and relocate the elephant Kavan. It was the only Asian elephant in Pakistan, the last one at the time, and he was chained over 30 years at the zoo. So it was really very happy to see how Pakistan supported this initiative and to relocate him to a sanctuary and species appropriate place in Cambodia. And recently we were involved in Karachi Zoo due to the unpleasant situation with the death of the elephant Noor Jahan, despite we recommended before to relocate the last 2 elephants in Karachi Zoo to a safari park or other sanctuary. We were able to treat and release the pain at the time from the elephant Madubla and the Noor Jahan with a huge operation task. They have huge pain, and it was really, I would say, successful on one hand, but on the other hand, Noor Jahan got more sick and she lost her life. And I hope now with the approval of the authority in Pakistan, we will be able to relocate the elephant Madubla.
Yes, I was reading that in the paper just yesterday, and we were having a conversation about this. But I think it's very important to also know that a lot of like zoos are established on like public funding, and they're not accesses, which is why they don't meet any type of basic standard for looking after people, after the animals, and also people don't get decisions. Like if people have been having issues with Karachi Zoo for so many years, probably like I've been reading about it since at least I was 9 years old and I'm 20, and even to this point there's been like such a lack of action in these public spaces and these public funding, and they don't understand that wild animals are not supposed to be caged, they're not supposed to be living in these confinement spaces, and it's very important, and that's why the work you're doing is so important. And like I also wanted to point it a little bit in a direction that when you're talking about like livestock preservation, people don't think animal welfare organizations work and look after livestock, but that's such a big part of like a Pakistani identity, and so much of the working class of Pakistan works in these agricultural spaces, and animals are such a crucial part in that. So can you tell us a little bit more about like your rescue mission in actually helping these families look after their animals?
I mean, I can start with one symbol, because also you mentioned important topic like climate change previously. A humanity is a character, it's not regarding humanity is very important word. kindness is important. You cannot divide kindness. A kind person is a kind to animal, to human, to nature. So kindness is not only I'm kind to human and I'm not kind. So kindness is one character, is one word, should not be divided. When we are able to help animal, it's in fact meant also to help a human. Persons who lose their belonging during a flood, earthquake, like recently we were in Syria and Turkey, they lose everything. The only thing maybe they have is the animal, but they cannot feed them at the time. So in this emergency time, I think helping their animal, it means also helping them. And instead I buy, when we buy kilo food for animal, it means a family can buy kilo food for their children. So we take the stress from them. And in fact, we cannot separate, but also my colleague have maybe more to add about the missions. And
we'd love to hear more from our other guests with us today.
So I joined the team of Dr. Amir about a year ago, and I was very happy to take part in already 2 missions in Pakistan. I joined the team last year during the surgery of the 2 elephants in the Karachi Zoo, and it was so emotional for me to see the immediate relief in the elephants, that how their behavior changed, and that they were visibly pain-free the day after their surgeries. So I'm very proud to see how our actions have a direct influence on animals and how we can make their life better.
I also think a lot of the work that organizations like yours do with zoos starts a really important conversation at home with young Pakistanis, because I know in the last 10 years, animal welfare organizations have popped up to another level, with nearly every single school working with shelters, working with different animals, having also looking after animals, because it's very, very common that a lot of people's dogs also used to be put down by public funding mechanisms. They used to actively put down street dogs, and that was something a lot of young people actually stepped into. I personally experienced this a lot as a pet owner. I have 3 dogs, and a lot of animal conversations actually start with just the pets they have at home, and you can see the treatment is very much the same attitude that they have towards domestic animals. They carry the same attitude towards wildlife, and that's all over Pakistan. So that's definitely a part of it. And how you were talking about climate change, and it's very important, people will they either buy food for their family or will they actually buy food for their pets, but it's all very interlinked. So
I can add to the stray animal problem, for example. So we also have CMDR programs at Paws, Catch, Nurture, Vaccinate, Release. It's really successful, and it helps also the families, right? So we control the strays and therefore also protecting them and protecting the families.
And back to your question, also, I mean, during our work in Pakistan here, it is so interesting to see the new generation, how they are very motivated here in Pakistan. I mean, I remember 2010, it was volunteers who are helping us, and now I see these young generations who came now with us at the zoo in Karachi or Islamabad. It was so many young, I will say even till student, veterinary doctor, young ones, they wanted to help, to learn. They bring us even food to us because they are so motivated. So I am so impressed, and this I don't see in many countries, to be honest. I mean, in Pakistan, we have the opportunity to witness how these colleagues are so dedicated. They are keen to learn. They want to develop. They want to spread this work. And even in Jordan, we have so many colleagues from Pakistan who are vets, who are working and supporting and working in the sanctuary, even in Jordan.
How you were also talking about working with animals in conflict zones, can you also just elaborate in your experience how these are interlinked and how it's also part of addressing the human part of conflict zones?
Sure, at first it's very sad to be in conflict zone. A war, there is no winner, in my opinion. It's everyone loser. And at this place, when people cannot talk, the only language they speak are weapons. They have only hate. The only thing I see at this time is a candle of light, and this is animal. Human can escape, can be refugee, could go away, could be evacuated by the Red Cross. The only thing we witness is that wild animal closed in a zoo cannot escape in a war. They die by hunger, die by missiles, by bomb. And I think here I find it is a huge responsibility, because we are responsible for this animal, to make a huge plan, a big plan. It's like a military plan, how really to go in, evacuate this animal, bring them to a safe place and to a species appropriate place. We get sometimes some critic, people are not happy. People are dying, and you go to help animal and to rescue animal in a war zone between all this bomb. I said, yes, there is a lot of organization are helping human. But all what I want to do with the team of Paws, we want to save humanity. How I could help a human and I leave, on the other hand, animal not have food since 1.5 months.
100%.
Which humanity we speak about? We speak about climate change, we speak about many things. So really it's very, very important not to be a cowboys, but also to think the war have a lot of bad prices about the climate, about human, about animals also.
We are back after a short break. We are here with Paws, and we are having a really fruitful conversation about the work they do in different countries essentially, and also how they help with animals in conflict zones and animals under different human influence circumstances. So I have a specific question, like how would you say that working with animal-based projects is directly linked into like sustainable action or climate change in your experience?
So it is very important. Paws is working also with projects for climate change. We have like a big campaign, it's called Stop the Trucks. It's about like animals, like live animal transport from countries to countries. There are no regulations most of the time, so they're in the trucks for hours, days, weeks with no air condition. So most of the animals are actually dying on their way to the slaughterhouses. So really engaged in this, and not only about livestock, they're producing a lot of gas. It's one of the CO2 emission, most productions of CO2 emissions, and also regarding climate change, we work with disasters. So we can see lately how many disasters are happening. Earthquakes, tsunamis, and so on. So I think it's really, really important to engage in climate change and environmental protection.
Yeah.
As my colleague mentioned, I mean, we are witnessing all, especially in the last year, the acceleration of climate change become to be huge and quick. Just moving and destroying, I don't know how many thousands of hectares every day from the Amazon, and just to create farm for cows or agriculture, have a huge impact. The lung of our earth is burning. So just the link between animal and human, forgetting the nature, it have a huge impact on the nature. It's not only what my colleague mentioned with production of carbon dioxide through 100,000 of cows instead of the trees, which are in fact the most important thing in our lung. Even with animal transport, moving 100,000 of animals every year from Australia to the Middle East to many other countries, this is all have influence on the nature, on the climate. Moving a lot of things, even the war, in the conflict zone. We hear so much about Chernobyl, about the atomic disaster, even in Fukushima. We speak about the genetic change in human, but what about the animal? What about the food what we eat? So a lot of things, it is a cycle, we cannot separate it. Animal, human, and the nature. But all of us, what we all are doing now, we have a huge responsibility to stop this acceleration of the climate change. Everyone have a duty and a responsibility.
Yes, and as Dr. Amir and Pia said before, it is also about our personal choices, which we do every day, and they also have an influence on the climate. So when shopping for food, it's good to think about what we pick and what we decide to eat. It may be good from time to time to switch a plate of meat to maybe something plant-based, or seek for other alternatives. Also pick local products, exactly. So to fight the climate change, it is also important to have those aspects in mind.
Yeah. I think it's also very important, and how you guys touched on how it's very linked towards it, and how I don't think people realize that like the Amazon is getting like logged because of like the meat industry and different aspects, and how they are essentially like the lungs of the earth. And I know Ecuador essentially just passed a bill to also preserve different like biological areas and animal preservation, and this all starts with our humanity. And I would just also like to ask you, what do you think is like important for like young and older Pakistanis listening to like look after animals, be it in wildlife, be it domestic, be it through institutes like zoos or sanctuaries that exist all around Pakistan? What would you like to tell our Pakistani audience listening in today?
I think I want, from my side and my view, I want to say you are the hope. We fail in many things in our generations. This is where we are now, even with climate change, with a lot of cruelty with animal, with injustice between human. So they are the future. So I think they have a huge responsibility and they have to trust in themselves. They can do what we fail to do. I think the young generation are the hope, in fact, for all of us now to improve many things, improve conditions at the zoo, raise the awareness about what means humanity and not to be cruel. It's not only business. Is, as you mentioned also now, to use their local product. We don't need to fly, to transport, use a lot of things. Use your local product, improve many things. Trust in yourself. But I want to tell them also, they are the candle, they are the hope for all of us. We done what we can do, but also we fail to improve many things despite hard challenge and hard fights. So there is a lot of things we hope that they will take over and improve and continue this way, what many colleagues all over the world start to do. You want to say something also, Agnes or Pia? Yeah. Because also you are younger, you are the young generation.
I'd love to hear from you guys, maybe more about your work and how you think this is something that like young people and older Pakistani generations need to hear and to get involved, because it's not only the job of welfare organizations to look after animals, it's the job of every single person on the planet.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think education is really important, to look behind the scenes, you know, to have knowledge what is really happening. I think the younger generations are very aware of what is happening. I think like social media, the internet is helping. So for me, it was always important to work with animals. I have like a special connection, and I mean, it was a dream come true working for Paws and being able to help animals directly, and especially then joining Dr. Amir's team and to meet all the different people, different cultures is amazing. And also here in Pakistan, I really have to say, the younger generation, they're so engaged. They are amazing activists. So I can just say, keep doing this, and if we all work together for a great goal, we can achieve a lot. And I think the younger generations, there is hope that life will improve, and I think they're going into a good direction.
And that's great.
And just I would like to come back for a moment to the vision of Paws, which is the world where people treat animals with respect, empathy, and understanding. And I think this is the core of improving the life of animals worldwide, that we, every person, every Pakistani, just treat animals with kindness and love and respect, and the life of animals will improve.
Yeah. And because this is also the green hour, I would just also like to ask you guys, in your specific experiences, if this is any with the aggravating climate change and how you said that's directly linked to conflict and like disaster, would you say there's any precedent that we need to take when talking about climate change and animals together?
Wow, it's very important questions, and also difficult at the same time. In conflict zone, as I mentioned before, there is no language. People don't talk with each other. The only thing they do, they shoot on each other and they blame each other. Yeah. But what I noticed also with missions with the teams, animals, it is the only thing I witness where they can open border, can make bridges between nations which cannot talk. When we took animal during the war in Syria, everyone put the weapon on the ground and come to carry the animal with us, the crates. The same happened in Palestine and Israel. When everyone they kill each other, but at the end they put the weapon and they come to let us pass with them. with wild animals through. In Iraq, the same. The war stopped 2 days in Iraq because of one lion and one bear. And they complained, and they even arrested me at the time to say, "You stupid guy, why you, because of 2 animals and the war stopped."
The war.
But I said, if this happen and if animal is able to stop the war every day, you can arrest me every day, just to stop the war. So animal can do miracles, as human can do miracles, animals sometimes, because they don't have identities, they don't have passports, they don't belong to a nation, it's belong to a species. So it is, I think there is a huge impact during war or conflict and what animal can do at the time. When you watch a young child coming, he lost his mom, his dad, he lost his house, he's crying at the border, and when he saw a lion and a bear at the time, this beautiful smile, you cannot be all the money of the world. Even he forget it for a few minutes to see wild animal, and he forgot all what he witnessed coming from war zone. You can see what animal can do. Animal can, I mean, I even my salary, I work, I am employee, even I'm a vet, but because of animal are feeding my kids. So we are now in the organization over 900 employees in Paws. Can you imagine 900 families? Yeah. How many sanctuaries we are working? So animal can feed us. It's not only we are working for animal, animal serve us. This is the reason we see it from more philosophical point. Not only from kindness, I see it also because animals are very important part. Imagine when animal disappear from one place. Pakistan is so rich country with wild animal. The white leopard, I mean, I saw in Islamabad even a leopard. Wonderful wildlife, and this is not belong to us, it's belong to your nation, to the next generation, to the young generation who have to fight to keep this animal in their place, not to fight and compete with their preserved area.
Even during COVID, there was a lot of cases in Pakistan where because of the lockdown, so many animals started coming out. Like personally, like I know people saw humpback whales off the coast of Balochistan. I personally saw a dolphin at Karachi beach, which I saw a pack of dolphins. I saw, I saw this with my own 2 eyes next to the coastline. And even when I had gone up north, there were so many reportings of leopards coming out into the wild, and these are animals that a lot of people had thought gotten lost, wouldn't return to these places. And I think seeing that gave a lot of community a lot of hope. And same with the Indus water dolphin that is consistently like killed, get stuck in canals, and there's so many projects and community-led projects looking after these animals, and I think that's exactly what Paws does. And a common question that I always ask every host that I have before we like sign out is, what is a precedent or a specific notion about your work that is misinterpreted or misunderstood by like the wide public?
I mean, there is a lot. Yeah. I mean, people think sometimes we are crazy. I care for animal and don't care for human. And my answer all the time, we care for humanity.
I think that's such a brilliant thing to say.
So this is one of the misunderstandings. People think also animal welfare are people who don't have connection of human. In fact, these people who are so sensitive to animal, they are so kind because they care about the behavior of the other human who is cruel, and they want them to improve. The animal cannot speak. So these people are the voice of this voiceless animal. But
yeah, I'd love to hear about from you guys as well about a common misconception about your work.
I totally agree with what Dr. Amir said, that often people who are part of animal welfare organizations or movements are perceived as kind of maybe a little bit crazy, or not understanding the real issues of the world which are concerning humans. But in fact, those people are very sensitive and they care about suffering so deeply that they can see suffering in animals. It does not mean that they do not care about suffering among humans. It means that they care even more also about this aspect.
And Cynthia, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well.
Yes, so totally agree with what my colleague said. I think animal welfare is so much more than just caring about animal suffering, right? It's like connected to so many other problems we save, as you said, like climate change, right? To protect nature. So to protect an animal means to protect nature. To educate also people, to let them know what's happening. So again, I have to say, like, we're working with so many humans as well. We bring together different cultures and we exchange knowledge, and we let the public know what is happening, so they can also decide if they would like to advocate for animal welfare. So it's not only about the animal, it's about all of us to be protected.
Yeah.
It's a huge responsibility. I mean, if we don't protect the animal protection, I mean, it is a human protection. As I witnessed, not only in Pakistan, in many countries I visit, even in the streets here in Karachi, when people don't give attention to the dogs, their pet animal, they become to be stray, they become to multiply, they become to be a problem.
Yeah.
Environmental problem, they become to be a social problem, and the problem is big for everyone to solve sometimes. And this is because misunderstanding, misconception, I leave a dog in the street. Just this one action, personal action, can lead to hundreds of thousands of dogs in the street.
100%.
And this is exactly the point, and this have influence on the ecological system. The number of cats could be less in the street, the rats, the diseases, the bite cases, the car accident. So all this we start with one action. I love as a child a dog, and after this I leave it in the street. And the consequence of this, a problem which we face in many countries, where we have to invest more money, where a country have to import so much vaccine for rabies,
neutering and
treatment,
vaccinating dogs,
and fear, and people, society become to be divided. I love animal, I hate animal. Kill
that
dog,
is actually
save dog.
a big division here.
So big, make a social division. So
it is a social division.
So we cannot separate such action. I mean, from nature, human, and misconception why we should care for a dog in the street.
But also the human-animal relationship is so interesting, right? I mean, there are so different aspects to it, and we know like a child interacting with an animal, like a dog, there's like both so innocent. And as Dr. Amir also said, like an animal, it can make a bridge between humans, and also we use the animals in therapy, for example. So I think animals are amazing creatures who can bring humans together.
Yeah, support, and also even during the earthquake in Turkey, dogs were actively used to rescue people, and they were also providing a sense of therapy, a sense of support, and just seeing that in itself was just amazing, because I know how much Turkey does for stray animal communities, and I think that's exactly what I wanted to come through with this episode, just talking about how we're together.
We witnessed in Turkey, I mean, myself, I was a witness of a case. A cat was 18 days under the rubble, destroyed house. 18 days, no food, no water. The team succeed, or I mean, colleagues and volunteers succeed to rescue this cat out. So the lady, the owner of the cat, she was with broken ribs, broken pelvis or bones, and the cat have also broken things. The lady have to go to Istanbul to the hospital. The cat we took to Gaziantep to a clinic, and both of them start to improve. The cat start to be active, and the lady in the hospital start to be active. And I remember the moment when we make a video call that the cat see her as the owner in Istanbul, and the lady was so crying and happy to see her cat, and the cat was wanted to catch her owner. But you can see this psychological effect even during disaster. The lady lost his house, lost everything.
You lost everything, but your cat's alive and you couldn't be happy.
A lady was happy, a cow 6 days under the rubble, and the lady is so happy that the cat will rescue, take out from the rubble. So this is a moment where we learn, and I learned myself, how this connection is very important between animal and human, and it's very essential.
And just coming towards our closing remarks, I just wanted to ask you guys if there's any words or thoughts that you would like to leave the rest of the audience with today, especially me, because I love the work you guys do. I think it is so important. I struggle with this in my work as well, as I work on different climate change missions and research around it, and there's so many notions that they put us in a box and they don't understand that this problem is humanity's problem. So I am an absolute fan of the work you do. And are there any closing remarks you'd have for the audience here today? I'd love to hear from all three of you.
Just to leave you with a positive message. We are really happy to see so many young Pakistani engaged in activities for animal welfare, and I wish all of those people who do something good for animals to succeed and to empower even more people to continue this very good work. And to others, I wish they see more empathy and to find respect for animals and see how the interaction between us humans and the animals can do so much good for the world around us.
Yeah, so thanks Agnieszka, totally agree. And I think it's important to keep engaged in the topic, to talk with friends, with family about it, and not only focusing on the problem, but finding solutions, right? And talking about solutions, what can you do, what can your family do, what can your friends do? And I also have to say I'm so happy to be here in Pakistan and to work with you guys. It's always a pleasure, and I think Pakistan is moving in a good direction regarding animal welfare. And
that's good.
Yeah.
At least we're moving somewhere good.
Yeah, I want to say thank you to your radio station. It's really great honor for all of us to be here.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it. I feel like the work that a lot of organizations do in Pakistan just goes unnoticed. So I'm really, really happy to have you guys here today and have this conversation.
And please help us and spread the word about Madubla. The next action, we have a giant, the biggest animal on earth. We are moving through Karachi, a big city.
I know, one of the
need a lot of logistic work, a lot of support.
I know.
And we have a lot of work have to prepare for them, for Madubla to prepare her place to be a species appropriate place, to enlarge the place, more enrichment for the elephant. And sure, we are following the medical
There's so many private organizations and private companies that want to get involved. I was also reading about Madhubala in the national paper as well, and it was just really, really interesting to see how this is like the focus of civil society.
A lot of organizations in Pakistan are supporting us. I mean, even now, currently, not only the KMC are working with us, but also the task force, which is appointed by the government with different colleagues, are working, supporting us. A lot of other NGOs, so it's really great.
And that's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. Today is actually my last episode of the Green Hour because I am going to college, but I am really, really happy that I got to have this last wonderful conversation and leaving the Green Hour on a message of hope, prosperity, and humanity. So thank you so much for coming with us today. And it was such a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this is the last episode of Fatemah Sultan on the Green Hour. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to my FM91 family for having me and giving me this opportunity to share more about my work and having such interesting guests. Maybe I'll be back soon, maybe I won't, but thank you so much for everything.